Right here, we have another banger from Jay Welch. This is called How to Reinvent Yourself, which is something that we all should look forward to every time to involve. We're going to let him speak on it, and then I'll just spill in my thoughts here and there.
My entire life has been a constant journey of reinventing myself, and I believe it's a big reason why I'm where I am today. And I think it's actually the reason why most people stay stuck in their ways for the entirety of their lives. So in this video, I want to talk about how to reinvent yourself. The first thing you need to understand is, what does that even mean? What does it mean to reinvent yourself? From my perspective, I'll explain it. Growing up, we have these incidents that happen to us. And from these incidents, we tend to put labels on ourselves. And those labels become our identity.
And which also what we call trauma. We also call those traumas. You know what I'm saying? If you really look deep into it.
This is called your self-image. We all have a self-image. Some know it, some don't know it. Some examples of things that people use to identify as their self-image would be like, I'm an introvert. I'm shy, I'm anxious. I have a fear of heights. These things that we put on ourselves as absolute truths that we then take and carry for our entire lives. The person that's able to reinvent himself is the person who is able to understand those things, understand the self-image traits that he wants to have, and then is able to destroy the original traits. And my whole life has been like this.
And I'm gonna spill deep into this a little bit more, spread this out of what he's talking about is when you're a person who has that type of skill to self-identify where you're at in life and the skill sets and just who you are as far as your identity, and able to adjust through time of studying, growing, self-development, and doing the things where you acknowledge the fact, hey, I'm in this position because I'm who I am right now. And can take yourself out of the equation of being on the defense and say, no, I'm not fit to change. You're more open-minded and you're like, okay, what can I do to backwards engineer to get to where I want to be at, right? And if you have the type of skill to do that, you'll find more success, because what keeps people from growing is they stay put on what works for them at that time and moment, and they're scared to change certain things because they don't know what the outcome is going to be. They only know what they're used to for the norms. So if you're someone who's able to adjust quicker, you'll get quicker results. Just had to point that out.
I used to always think that these things that I said about myself were not changeable. I used to think that's just the way things were. But I read a book many years ago that completely changed my perspective. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics by a man named Maxwell Maltz. Now, I don't have to find his memory, but as my memory serves me, this book was about a plastic surgeon. And he talked about how his patients would come in with a self-image issue, like, I'm depressed, I can't get any women, I can't get a man to love me, all these struggles, all these things that were strictly in their mind. And then he would put them under an extremely simple procedure, like shrinking their nose like this much, like just like this, or removing a little bag from their eyes. And he said these people would then go on to have massive success in their careers, in their dating lives, and in their overall mood. And do you think it's because they look better? No, it's because they change the way that they see themselves. They reinvented themselves. Now, this is not me telling you to go get some plastic surgery. I just use this as an example because when I read this book, it sort of expanded my mind to understand this concept of self-image. The entire book talks about this concept. And for me, I had to then take a good hard look at myself and say, okay, what are my negative self-image traits? I think growing up, I had some really toxic ones. I used to say things like, oh, I never finish what I start. Or, oh, I have a hard time focus, or I'm not smart. Or, oh, I'm not going to be rich. These things, these labels that I would put on myself, that I would live by. I would base my entire life on these belief systems.
So there's two things I want to note right there. Belief systems on how you see yourself, and also perspective is key, right? Your perspective on how you see life is what you're gonna generate in your reality, right? If you believe and you see it in perspective and lens that you're never gonna get out the hole, whether it's in debt, whether it's finding success or accomplishing a dream that's realistic, you know what I'm saying, in a day by day plan, you can sabotage and keep yourself bottleneck down the hole. You can do that your own self just by the belief in doubts, right? Also, how you see yourself, like how he was mentioning. He said that for a while he told himself that he doesn't see him, whether it's becoming becoming rich to that he's always quitting on things, et cetera, et cetera. Like those are self doubts. And those seeds were planted by someone else that were never planted in us. You know what I'm saying? Before, we never plant those ourselves. Those are seeds that was planted from somebody else. So you have to identify those things and realize those are not good for your garden. And you got to get rid of those nasty seeds and put in the better seeds so you can get a more luxurious produced garden.
And it held me back. If you want to reinvent yourself, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what are these subconscious self-image traits that you are holding in your mind that you're not even aware of every single day? I recommend write down a list of 10 things you think about yourself and really take a hard look at it. Don't write good stuff. Don't write just good stuff. Write the real. Write the stuff that you're a little uncomfortable to share because you're just sharing it with yourself, and start there. If you want to reinvent yourself, you first have to know yourself. And I think that's a good first step. Now, I want to give you a better example. So right now I'm here in France, in Courchevel, with some of my good friends vibing. We're having a great time. I grew up with this massive fear of heights. I never liked roller coasters. I never liked tall buildings. I never liked airplanes, all these things like that. It wasn't for me. Maybe you can relate to that. So then I carry my whole life saying, nah, I don't like heights. Nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. So I spend years carrying this fear as an absolute truth about myself. So guess what we're doing on this trip? It's a ski trip. Everybody's out there skiing. Everybody's having the best time. I get subconsciously in my head like, nah, this sport isn't for me. And I'm thinking, why? Like, why don't I like this sport? Why am I so scared to get up there on the mountain and go have fun with my friends? And it circles back to that absolute truth that I put in myself. It circles back to that self-image of, I have a fear of heights. Because when I get up on that gondola, or I get up on that mountain and I'm looking down and all I got is these two freaking wooden things on my feet, I don't feel so good. I forced myself for 3 days straight.
Wow.
To learn how to ski. 3 days of painful falling, suffering, struggling. You'll have moments where it clicks and then you just can't understand anything anymore. And then it really clicks and then you crash and you forget everything. I faced my fear head on.
That's amazing. Beautiful way to say that, right? Facing your fears head on, facing what you thought about yourself negatively, being real with yourself, being honest. You know, he mentioned about write down a piece of paper about things you like about yourself, but also don't be afraid to put things that you don't like, that you have, whether it's self-doubt, whether it's the things that you might be insecure about, like being really honest with yourself. I tell you a thing I do. You know, for me, it's more so talking to myself. I talk to myself a lot. I do. I talk to myself a lot, but in a positive way, in a way that's productive. And I tell myself, I'm like, yo, Dre, why you don't do this? What is keeping you from doing this specific thing that makes you feel like you're not capable of doing? What makes you feel like people don't want to hear your voice? What makes you feel like this, you know, and so down the line. And then I talk to him, I'm like, bro, I be my own cheerleader. And you got to. You have to be your own cheerleader at times, man. You have to, because there's going to be times where you don't have the support. And maybe online support of a committee is not enough. You're going to have to be your own friend 24/7 that reminds you that you can do it. That you can do it. Look at me. I'm starting a new channel from scratch. And you know how humiliating, not humiliating, how much of a humility that I have to be like, okay, I'm not on my main channel that has almost 10K subscribers that I have within a month over 150,000 views on. I'm going to something where I want to provide value. I'm going to someone where I want my voice to be heard, to where I can give value to inspire folks and start a new channel that's going to be about that, and which is this channel. Which, by the way, if you're watching this far, hit that subscribe button and appreciate you for joining in. I really want to make this something that's really valuable. But again, it's those things. Being where you have to really be more on that side of being your cheerleader. You got to, man. Because if you don't, you will lose sight of the vision, or you easily be discouraged. And I've heard somebody mention it. They say, yo, we spend more time being a cheerleader and encourage other folks, but when it comes to us, we treat ourselves like dog crap. Like we don't even give ourselves the respect of cheering us on and say, hey, you can do it, or pat on ourselves on the back. And when I heard that, I'm like, yo, that is such a real thing. All right, we're going to let this finish out.
And from that, I've changed my self-image. I think yesterday was the first time ever that I said, I know how to ski. I'm a skier now. Whereas before, I spent my whole life saying, nah, that's not for me. Nah, I don't want to do that. Nah, I'm scared of heights. When you can understand these things that you say about yourself, when you can understand your self-image that you're putting on yourself, it gives you the chance to challenge those things and make a change, because they're all changeable. They're all changeable. None of them are permanent. They're only permanent if you think that they are. So how do you then take that old version of yourself, destroy him, and build somebody brand new? Well, if you take anything from the skiing story, it's that first have to understand it, and then you have to challenge it. Like, is this really true? Am I really scared of heights? Am I really scared to start that business? Am I really an introvert? Go out and do things that challenge that self-image. And almost very quickly, you will realize that it's not true. It's not.
That is one. That's another banger one right there, bro. Y'all hear that? He said, look, those things, those negative thoughts that you get in your mind, prove that it's not real by challenging it. Because it's true, like, even when it comes to scientists, when it comes to that theories and things, right? It gets challenged to make sure that it's accurate. Anything that's true and supposed to be true is going to get challenged, to be tested, to see if it really stands out, to be real, right? So the only way to really destroy this fake image that's built up in your mind is you got to really challenge it and step up to the plate and say, okay, well, what we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what we talking about? And when you do that, you start realizing that it's really false image or false information that you thought about you or somebody put in your mind. So that's a really good one right there.
The reality. Everybody should always be on this constant journey of trying to challenge these self-image beliefs about themselves.
Yeah.
Because through this, you can grow and you can evolve. Most people will spend their entire life staying stuck because they never challenge these things about themselves and they believe them to be permanent truths. So if you want to get to that next level in any capacity of your life, you have to reinvent yourself. And it starts by understanding what you think about yourself, rigorously challenging it through uncomfortable activities, and then reaping the benefits of being on the other side. I'm super excited today to go out there and go ski. I'm super excited to now have this new journey that I can go on for the rest of my life. And it's because I faced my fear and didn't stick with it for the rest of my life. So that's my challenge for you guys today. Ask yourself, what is the thing that I have been labeling myself with for my entire life? And how can I challenge that? Let me know in the comments down below what that thing is for you. And hope you guys have a blessed day.
Like I said, man, it's really a good message. And I don't think that we really meditate that enough, right? Of really reinventing yourself, challenging the things that you thought negative, or that those negative thoughts that appears in your mind. You should always, on a regular basis, continue to try to evolve. Whether you've read anything biblical or anything religiously, or just been taught by a mentor or heard people along your spiritual journey, or just mentally or in a book, it always will tell you constantly don't be afraid to adjust and to evolve as a human being, to involve in business minded, and to evolve as a person. Because when you're able to take those skills and develop it, you're gonna eventually more so home in on that to where you get good on a regular basis, and it's a learning experience. It's going to be a lifetime thing where you should be always constantly involved. But once you start developing the tools to be able to do it, you're going to be a monster, man. I hope you guys really took something from here and got a lot of value. I really appreciate you guys joining this channel and just going through this whole journey. This is also something that's great for me. I want to surround myself with good thinkers, whether it's content creators, business-minded people, people who are doing awesome things. I want to, consume that type of content. So this is my way of also not only consuming it, but creating content and providing value and growing something, a cool community. So if you want to join the community, man, give it a thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. See y'all on the next one. Peace.